Let me guess. You're successful, you work hard, you do everything right, but still, she doesn't want you. The more you initiate, the more she pulls away. My client Alex knows that frustration. A successful business owner, respected by his peers, but his partner was about to leave until Alex did something unexpected. He stopped initiating sex altogether for 60 days. And by the end, she was calling him the man of her dreams and started initiating again. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what happened during those 60 days and why this counterintuitive method actually works and how Alex pulled it off without losing his mind or building resentment along the way. But first, you need to understand the trap that most successful men fall into, because once you see it, you will realize why everything you've been trying has been pushing her further away. Here's something I've noticed after working with over 600 men, many of them engineers, entrepreneurs, and professionals. The same drive that makes you successful at work can actually destroy your marriage, because you're used to solving problems and getting results. So when sex dries up at home, you apply the same logic. You initiate more, you plan more date nights, do more around the house, maybe have those long talks about the relationship. And when none of that works, you double down, because that's what winners do, right? But here's what's actually happening. Every time you initiate and she says no, and you get that disappointed look on your face or that frustrated tone in your voice, you're sending her a message. You're telling her that you need something from her to feel okay. And that kind of energy is suffocating. Alex was stuck in that exact loop. Here's how he described it.
I was so unhappy, frustrated, felt like that I'm not good enough and I'm needy for sex. I had some erectile dysfunction. I couldn't perform, so I had my mental challenges, how to perform, and I really wasn't in a good place before this. It's like beyond frustration. It's like, fuck, can I break through with that? It's like I was so desperate. I found the word desperation.
And his partner Ula later told him exactly how it felt from her side.
I didn't felt like I have a man next to me. I always felt like you're a boy and that you're needy and that I'm just an object for your sexual needs and desires, and that you just take whatever you want, but not in a man way, like taking, but sneaky little bastard way, which was even worse for me.
That is brutal to hear for anyone, but she was at least being honest about what his energy was communicating, even when he wasn't saying anything. It's like lowering your price in a negotiation every time the other side hesitates. You think you're closing the deal, but you're really just showing them how desperate you are. If you recognize yourself in this, you are not alone. So here's what Alex realized that changed everything. The problem wasn't that he needed to push harder, but rather that his entire approach was broken from the start. So Alex made a decision. He was going to stop initiating sex completely. And I want to be clear about something. This wasn't about playing games or trying to manipulate her. This was about breaking a cycle that was destroying both of them. And underneath all of this, Alex was hiding poor news. So she didn't trust him. And the few times they did have sex, he was so in his head about performance that he couldn't stay present. He was worried about whether he would last long enough, whether she was enjoying it, whether he would be able to get hard. And that pressure was making everything worse. So by taking sex completely off the table, he removed the pressure entirely. He wasn't performing anymore. He could finally just breathe. And something interesting happened almost immediately. On the second day of the program, his partner noticed something had shifted.
I had from the day one very impactful results on my life. I didn't quite knew how this could be possible. And she also noticed that I started on Saturday. And on Sunday, I already reported that something changed in our relationship and that I feel very good. And she's like completely different woman besides me. And that polarity was like immediate shift.
So, what did Alex do in those 60 days instead of just chasing sex? Well, he stopped leaking his energy through porn and masturbation. He practiced semen retention and learned to circulate that energy through his body.
I completely ditched porn, like completely for life. That was like my first day. I'm done with that. And I am also now in, I don't know how many, I can check how many days of semen retention is 72 days. From this, I got so much clarity, willpower.
And he faced his nice guy pattern. Alex realized he had spent years avoiding conflict, always keeping the peace, saying yes when he meant no, and that people pleasing was actually part of why his partner didn't respect him. So he started setting boundaries, speaking his truth, even when it felt uncomfortable.
I took extreme ownership of my life. I completely transformed my mindset in a way of taking 100% responsibility for my life and that everything happens for me, not to me. That was before that happened. I was in victim mode.
And he started taking cold showers every morning, and she actually noticed the shift.
And things started to change from the day one. You had the willpower, and sometimes I was like, who are you? Are you really taking those cold showers?
And he finally tackled the real issue underneath it all. He didn't feel good enough as a man. So the 60 days gave him space to fix that instead of trying to get his word from her. And please understand, you don't have to exactly do what Alex did, but just notice how he focused on himself, not just the relationship. So here is the part that seems counterintuitive. When Alex stopped going after sex, his partner started wanting him more than ever. When he stopped being needy, she could finally relax because that constant pressure was gone. She didn't have to keep saying no and watching him getting disappointed. She didn't feel like every time he would touch her, it had to lead somewhere that she didn't want it to go. And when that pressure lifted, something opened up for her. You see, his neediness had actually been making her own trauma worse. She had sexual trauma from her childhood that she had never fully processed, so every time that he pushed her for sex when she wasn't ready, it reinforced those old patterns. But when he became grounded and stopped needing anything from her, she felt safe enough to start healing. Here's how she described it.
I had, and I still have, a lot of sexual trauma. And because you understand this now, you are really helping me, not making more trauma for me, but helping me to resolve this trauma and start enjoying the lovemaking, which is a big step for me.
We didn't have sex for about like 2 months. And I am okay with that. I'm not needy. I'm not in a bad state. I'm not complaining about that because now I'm giving her safe space to transform. And she's now believing that I am the man that she really can enjoy having sexual lovemaking.
So he literally went from being part of the problem to being part of the healing. And that made the polarity in the relationship shift completely.
My issues was that I didn't have polarity with my girlfriend. I was almost always in feminine role. I didn't understood what I was doing wrong. I also blamed her for things that I didn't own. I didn't understand that my behavior was impacting her.
And to be clear, that dynamic kills attraction all the time. You end up feeling more like roommates than lovers, or worse, it starts to feel like she's managing you instead of being with you. When Alex started leading himself, she could finally soften. She could trust him, and attraction just came back naturally. because it's like a dance. When you stop stepping on her toes, she can actually move with you.
You were more conscious, you were more loving, you were more man. And what is the most important for me? You understand me now. Like, you really feel me.
So if you are always the one chasing, maybe it's time to flip the script. So where is Alex and his relationship now? Well, his partner went from saying he wasn't man enough and she didn't trust him to calling him the man of her dreams. She's the one who asked him to move in together. They're actually getting a bigger place now with a pool and a sauna.
The biggest win for me is from completely not good enough, not man enough, I don't trust you, to I want to move with you, I want to share life with you, and I trust you. Now you are the man that I really want. And this is, if I achieve just this, I would sign up. But I got so many different benefits of this program.
And on top of a better relationship, his business is thriving because he shows up with actual presence instead of that contracted energy he used to carry around.
Before I was like playing small, being safe, now I'm like, hello, this, and I want to contribute, I want to support. I have a lot of things to give to the world, and they now feel it. So it's more easily to attract the high-end clients.
And here's the transformation from her perspective.
I was pretty sure that if nothing changes, this is not gonna work, because you were not the man that I wanted, and I was definitely not the woman that I desired to be. And then you found this amazing group, and things started to change from the day one, and I feel much safer, and I trust you, and I believe that you're really the man of my dream, and that we can move into the house together.
She became addicted to the confidence and the presence that he built, not just the sex. This isn't just Alex's story. It could be yours too, if you're willing to do the work. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great for Alex, but how do you actually pull this off without driving yourself crazy or building resentment? First of all, this has to be about you, not about her. If you stop initiating as a strategy to get her to come back to you, she's going to feel that. It's just manipulation with extra steps. You'll be sitting there, keeping the score, waiting to see if she finally gives in, and getting more frustrated every day that she doesn't. That's not what Alex did.
In the beginning, I was saying to you that I'm needy. I just want to come closer to her. And I didn't knew that my path would lead me to not having sex, but I see that it's so good for me because I owned my sexual power and I'm transforming my sexual power into business, transmuting to another areas of my life. So I don't feel needy anymore.
He decided that his relationship with his own sexual energy was broken and he needed to fix it. He'd been using porn for years. He'd been leaking his sexual energy constantly. He didn't know how to feel powerful without external validation. So the 60 days wasn't about her. It was about getting his own house in order. That's a completely different energy, and she could feel the difference. Second, you need somewhere to put all that energy. If you just try to suppress it, you're going to explode, you're going to relapse. Either way, it doesn't work. So Alex learned to transmute his energy and channel that into his work, into his morning routine, into actually feeling it move through his body instead of just trying to ignore it. And he told me that he started walking into meetings and people would comment on his presence. They wanted to work with him just because of how he showed up.
Yesterday I was in a meeting and those two that were looking at me were like, wow, what an energy. They really wanted to work with me, They were like, wow, we need more people like you. I have a clarity. I know what to say, how to say. I don't even think, I just am. And this is the biggest difference.
And third, You have to do the actual inner work. The 60 days isn't just waiting around hoping things will change. It's actively working on the stuff that made you needy in the first place.
Before, I was a man who was like very selfish. I didn't knew that I was selfish. I didn't understood me, but I was selfish. I was like sneaky little, like going to her, just, pointing out to her, just, and that's impactful.
And finally, he tackled why he felt like he wasn't enough and took real ownership of his energy, his emotions, and his direction in life. That's what changed his sex life and relationship. So if you are ready to become the man she actually wants, start by becoming the man you want to be. So what did Alex prove with this story? Well, that you can actually go from your woman being ready to leave you because you're not man enough to her calling you the man of her dreams and asking for sex. And the path there isn't about pushing harder or being more persistent. It's about stopping the chase entirely and becoming someone worth chasing. And you need to realize that Alex had a system to follow. He wasn't just guessing or reading articles online trying to figure this out by himself. He had a proven roadmap that transformed not just his relationship, but his entire life in just 60 days.
If I go back, I had some challenges with the payment, the money, how much the course is. And now when I look back, it's like there is no money that I can pay for a woman that wants to move with me and live a life with me. No money can buy that. If I had all the money in the world and said to her, move with me, I have a beautiful house, and she said no, what the heck, you don't need that money,
If you want to see exactly how Alex and the other men I work with do this from start to finish, I put together a free training that breaks down the whole method. So click here to watch it. And if you're wondering whether this could actually work for you in your situation, just look at all the other testimonials on my page. You will see stories from men who were exactly where you are right now. Blessings.